When I was a kid, every parent in our town had a monster they used to scare their children. Some talked about the boogeyman. Others warned their kids about witches hiding in the woods. But in our family, there was only one name: the Hogman. My grandmother used to say that if I stayed outside after dark, the Hogman would find me.
Get inside, sweetheart. You don't want the Hogman wandering around tonight.
And every single time she said his name, I immediately stopped whatever I was doing. Back then, I imagined him differently every time. Sometimes he was a giant pig. Sometimes he looked like a man wearing a pig's head. But one thing never changed. He was always watching. Every summer, my parents sent me to stay with my grandparents in rural Iowa. Their farmhouse stood alone between endless cornfields. The nearest neighbor was almost a mile away. During the day, it was paradise, but after sunset, everything changed. Every kid in town disappeared from the streets before 10 o'clock. It was almost like a curfew. One evening, I finally asked my grandmother why.
Because people know better than to stay outside after dark.
I rolled my eyes. I was 10 years old and thought I knew everything. So I asked her directly, why?
Because the Hogman comes looking.
The smile disappeared from her face.
And if he finds someone wandering alone, he takes them.
I laughed, but she didn't. Not even a little. That night, something happened. Something that changed my life forever. That night, after dinner, my grandmother told me it was time to get cleaned up. Back then, the farmhouse didn't have a proper bathroom. So she filled a large metal tub with warm water and left it on the enclosed porch. I hated bathing out there at night. The wind always sounded different after dark. Almost alive. I stepped into the tub and reached for the soap. That's when I heard it. Something sprinted past the porch. Fast. Too fast. I froze. At first I thought it was the wind. Then it happened again. This time, I saw it. A dark shape rushed past the window. I screamed. Grabbed my clothes and ran back inside.
Sweetheart, what's wrong?
There's someone outside. I saw him. He ran past the porch. My grandmother looked toward the window. For a moment, she looked terrified.
It's probably nothing. Just the wind.
But her voice sounded different. Like she didn't believe her own words. A few minutes later, she told me to go to bed. I pretended to listen. But instead, I stayed awake. I stood near the hallway and listened.
I think he's back.
What makes you think that?
The boy saw something in the yard. Did you leave food out tonight?
No.
Oh, God. I forgot, too.
I didn't understand what they were talking about. Food? For who? Then my grandfather stood up and reached under the bed. He pulled out a shotgun. That's when I stopped feeling curious. Because whatever was out, My grandfather was afraid of it too. And then I heard something moving across the yard. I ran back to my room before they could catch me listening. I climbed into bed and pulled the blanket over my head. But there was no way I was going to sleep, not after what I'd heard. A few minutes passed, maybe 5, maybe 10. Then curiosity got the better of me. I got out of bed and walked toward the window. Outside, a single floodlight illuminated part of the yard. Most of the property was hidden in darkness. But then, I saw something. A figure was sitting near the fence, completely still, watching the house. At first, I thought it was a person. Then the porch light turned on, and the figure stood up. I nearly screamed. It was over 7 feet tall. Its body looked human. But its head was that of a giant boar. Not a mask, not a costume, a real head. Its skin was covered in mud. Its arms were unnaturally long, and where its hands should have been, there were hooves. The thing slowly turned toward the porch. My grandmother opened the door and tossed a small bundle into the yard. Then she immediately closed the door. The creature approached the bundle, slowly, almost cautiously. It knelt beside it and began unwrapping the cloth, using its hooves. That's when I noticed something strange. It kept looking around, like it was afraid, like something else was out there with it. Then it stopped moving, completely. Its head slowly turned toward my window. It was looking directly at me. I dropped below the windowsill. My entire body went numb. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. Then I made the worst mistake of my life. I looked back out the window. The Hogman was standing right outside, its face pressed against the glass, and it was staring straight into my eyes. The Hogman's eyes were unlike anything I had ever seen. They weren't angry. They weren't animal eyes. They looked hungry. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then it opened its mouth. And let out a sound that still haunts me. The window exploded inward. I fell backward onto the floor, unable to scream, unable to move. The creature was trying to force its way inside. Then I heard my grandfather.
Get away from him!
The entire house shook. The Hogman stumbled backward, but it didn't fall. It didn't even seem injured. Then my grandfather grabbed me by the arm.
Move.
Get to the bedroom.
He practically dragged me through the hallway. My grandmother stayed behind. I remember looking back, just once. She was standing in the living room, holding a fireplace poker, facing the creature. That was the last time I ever saw her alive. A second later, something hit the wall. Then I heard my grandmother scream. A scream I'll never forget. My grandfather pushed me into the bedroom, then ran back toward the living room.
Stay here.
But I didn't listen. I followed him. The front door was wide open. The night air rushed inside. And outside, I saw it. The Hogman was climbing over the fence, carrying my grandmother, like she weighed nothing. My grandfather raised the shotgun, took aim, and fired. The creature fell. For one brief second, I thought it was over. Then it stood back up, as if nothing had happened, and disappeared into the darkness. My grandfather dropped to his knees and started crying. For the first time in my life, I saw him completely broken. Neither of us slept that night. The house felt empty, too empty. My grandfather covered the broken window with a tarp. Then we sat at the kitchen table. For nearly an hour, neither of us said a word. Then I finally asked, "Grandpa, was that really the Hogman?"
Yeah, that was him.
The answer sent chills through my body. I stared into my tea, trying to understand what I had just witnessed. Then I asked the question I had been afraid to ask. What is he?
Nobody knows, but I know where it started. I've worked on that farm for over 40 years, long before you were born. A few miles west of town, there used to be an old livestock burial pit.
I frowned. A burial pit?
Whenever livestock got sick or died unexpectedly, they buried them there. Hundreds of animals over the years, mostly pigs. Then people started seeing things. At first it was just stories, something moving through the cornfields at night, something watching from the tree line. Then people started disappearing. Farm workers, hunters, drunks walking home after midnight. People vanished. And when they were found, they were miles away from where they disappeared, always dead.
I felt sick. What?
Then someone figured something out. The creature wanted food. Every family started leaving offerings, corn mash, scraps of meat, animal feed, anything. And the attacks almost stopped. Almost. Every now and then, someone forgot, and the Hogman reminded them.
The kitchen suddenly felt colder. Much colder. Then I realized something. Grandma forgot tonight. I looked at him, and for the first time, I saw fear in his eyes.
Tomorrow I'm calling your parents. You're leaving this place.
What about you?
Don't worry about me.
But he didn't sound convinced.
Because I know one thing.
What?
The Hogman always comes back.